Greetings once again in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So today we are going to hear an interesting subject. So we all have many wishes and ambitions in life, right? So what are they? We all have one ambition, one wish to be fulfilled, something like that. So what are they? Just quickly tell me. Any ambition, any wish that you want to fulfill in life? Score good marks in examinations. Okay, that's fine. Next. Huh? Sorry? Okay. To get richer in the future. You? No ambition at all. You? As of now, as a students, you may have the ambition or the wish to get good marks, to get good reputation in your school, good name, and that's it, up to this age. So, each and every one of us, we have an ambition or a wish in our lives. So, there won't be any person who can tell that I don't have any wish in my life. If you go and ask your friends, if you go and ask your colleagues, if you go and ask your cousins, so when you ask them what's your ambition, what's your wish in your life, they will put up a huge list. So this is what my ambition is, this is what I wish, and all these things I want. So there won't be any person who tells that I don't have any ambition at all, I don't have any wish at all. So maybe people tell I don't have any ambition. Maybe they would have not fixed any ambition in their lives till now, till the present time. But they will never tell that I don't have any wish. People may be without ambition, but they don't be without wishes. So all these ambition and wishes which I am referring comes under the umbrella of future goals. Of course, this ambition, this wishes are something which is yet to be happen in our lives. So it's a future goal. We cannot tell that I don't have any goal in my life. So can we tell? So can anyone tell that I don't have any goal in my life? So maybe people who are telling that, maybe they are not sure of what they are doing, and maybe we may not know what a goal is, but everyone has a goal in their lives. Whether you know, whether you find out, whether you understand or not, maybe at present you may not know what's your goal in your life, but there is a goal in everyone's life. So everything is fine. So different people, of course, have different goals in their lives. So for an example, when we take a kid, small kid, and ask him, what's your goal in life? So he will tell that, I want this, I want that. His ultimate desire or his ultimate goal at that age is to get a toy, a favorite toy. So that's his biggest goal for that moment. When you go and ask a youngster what he will tell you, he will tell that my goal is to get this bike, this model, or else my goal is to get that model phone, the smartphone, anything, or this kind of thing, this kind of accessory or gadget or clothing, anything. So at that age, he fixes a goal. And his ultimate aim for that young age is to get several things which is suitable for that age. And when you go and ask an elder person, maybe their goal may be different from these kids and adults, but they too have a goal. When you talk to them, when you speak to them, what they will tell is, auntie, uncle, what's your goal in your life? They will tell that I need to save money for the future. So I need to do all these things for my son or daughter, or for my parents, for their parents. So they will be working hard for that reason, for that goal. So they too have a goal in their lives. So in order to set a goal and work for it and to achieve it, there will be some spark that we get. We get inspired when we look at some people. We get inspired when we look at someone. We get inspired while looking at some incident or hearing some message or anything. So in order to achieve or to set or to work a goal, there will be some spark that you will get in your life. So that spark, when you get that, you will have a new perspective of your life. So suddenly a spark comes out into your mind. So you get inspired of some incident that is going on around you, or maybe someone who have inspired, put an impact in your life. So we fix a goal in our lives. So something must have bothered us or interacted with us or impacted us or given us some ideas, so that we at that time, at that moment, we come to a point that we also need to achieve this thing or that thing in my life. So fixing a goal and having a future goal is essential for everyone, right? So as you are very young at this age, you need to fix a goal and to work on it. You need to work on it. So having a future goal is necessary. Only then you can move forward with confidence, or you can work out several things in your life. So setting a future goal is essential for everyone. So good to have a future goal. So what happens when a person fixes his goal in life? So basically what happens is, he cannot be idle. He cannot simply sit at home. He cannot sit at school simply. He cannot sit at the college simply and dream of some great things. So in order to reach a goal, he cannot be idle. He cannot be simply sitting there. But he needs to reach it. So in order to reach something, he needs to take initiative. So to reach the future goal cannot be possible within a day. So fixing a goal and trying to reach it within a day, it is impossible. And fixing a goal and reaching it with months, future goals, no, it's not possible. It takes a long process and many years to achieve that. So in the meanwhile, the eagerness and the mind to achieve that goal increases day by day. So at the age of 7 or 8, you fix an ambition or a wish in your life. So you very well know that after completing your college life, and only then that particular goal will be reached. So at the age of 7, you think about the future goal. What you do between the 7th standard and the college final year that you will reach, you will be working for it. So in the meanwhile, that eagerness and that mind of reaching that goal will be increasing day by day. Okay, I have completed this grade. Okay, now I am going to this grade. So I am very closer to achieve my goal. So the eagerness and the mind to achieve that goal increases day by day. It increases month by month. So for an example, let's take a scientist. A scientist, he creates a robot. So it's a creative robot. He starts with an idea, simple idea. To begin this project, to assemble this robot, he needs this and that. So this material and this wire to be placed, this. So a lot of things, that schedules and blueprints that he puts. So he starts with a simple idea. He take he takes months together to assemble, to put that into practice. Maybe some scientists they do it many years. So it takes many months and years. So it takes a lot of hard work to do that, to build a robot, and it takes much knowledge. He must have a good knowledge about that robot. So finally he finishes the task. Okay, so a good and a super robot, it comes. The output is very awesome, beautiful. So that's his ultimate goal, right? Beginning his project, his ultimate goal is to be successful in building that robot. So he works day and night, he puts a lot of effort, knowledge, every money and everything, time. Finally he builds a super robot. So in all these time, from the time he began till the end of his process, that scientist has something happening inside of him. Not something just happening outside, but inside of that scientist, several things happen. So the passion to build that robot becomes stronger and firm. So the passion of building a robot, so he plans, okay, at the first stage he has a plan. So that plan and that passion, it slowly develops, that eagerness slowly develops, and only that passion pushes him to reach that goal, to just to create a new robot. So the passion to build that robot becomes stronger day by day. It increases. So it develops. It develops inside of the scientist. So in all his mind and body and soul, he always thinks of how to complete that task. So today in our lives, when we fix a goal, we also have a great passion towards it, right? When we fix a goal, we have a passion also along with that. Slowly, day by day, or year by year, a passion towards that reaching of goal increases. So supposing your dad or mom, they promise you to get a thing, a special thing for you. So once they tell you that for this Christmas I'm going to get you this one. So all the time, between the time they tell you that till the time of Christmas, your heart beats for it, you long for it, you always think about that. So the passion of getting that special gift will be increasing day by day. So you will put that countdown and all, right? So you will put, okay, you will mark the calendars. Okay, this date is very close, getting close. So the eagerness, the wish from inside, the emotion, it increases day by day. So passion is the thing that makes us move forward to run further. So in the Bible we see a person who was a favorite person to God. Can you guess? In the Bible we see a person, he was very close to God's heart. Who was he? God himself, he tells that this person is after my own heart. Very favorite person to me. He had sheep and he turned to be someone. David, yeah. So he had a future goal in his life. That David had a future goal in his life. So this person is David, of course, King David. So the earlier life of David, when we see, he was tending his father's sheep. So he was a very small fellow, young fellow. His brothers were working in Saul's army, and this person was very young, so he had no other job or no other profession to do. So his ultimate work was to tend his father's sheep, to take care of it, to protect them, to give them water, food, and all the supplies that they need. So this David, young David, he was tending his father's sheep in the mountains and plains and every place. And one day there was a turning point in his life. God sent Prophet Samuel to his home, and this shepherd boy became a king of Israel. So God anointed King David, that young David, that time, he anointed through Prophet Samuel, and he made him king of Israel. So now David was a king of Israel later, and he almost won everything. David was a very brave person. He was very mighty warrior. He was an enthusiastic person. So he almost won everything in his life at very early stage of his reign. He owned fame. He owned wealth. He owned his own name. He owned an authority over the people of Israel. So he had good ruling. While he began to rule, he had a very good ruling, and people were also very supportive to David. So even though David was a king and had everything in his life, David lacked nothing. So all servants, wealth, money, fame, everything was at his hand. So David lacked nothing. So, but he had one future goal in his life. So besides everything, he had only one ultimate goal, one great goal in his life. So we can think David lacked nothing, right? David lacked nothing. When we read about his life, we see at the time when he began to rule, or the middle of his ruling, he had everything at his hand. So how come he can have a goal? So everything is already been done and everything is at his hands. So, but even though everything was there, David had one thing. He lacked one thing. So his future goal was only one. So he did not worry about anything but about that one thing. His mind was always on that one particular thing. So what was that? David had a wish, an ambition to build a house to his God. His ultimate aim in his life was to build a house, a temple for the Lord. So building a house for the Lord was the only greatest goal, was the only achievement, was the only mission in David's life. So this was the only future goal which David had. That was his first bucket list. So one day David, after building his own house, he furnished everything. So he's king, right? So he prepares a good architecture to his home. His home was very beautiful, looking great, wonderful. So even though he had beautiful home for himself, after building his own home, he had a wish, an ambition, an idea to build a temple for God. He called Prophet Nathan and said his ambition and wish to him. He told that, Nathan the prophet, I want to build a house for my God. I live in a great home which is furnished and all well set. Very great house that I am living. But look at, there is no place or there is no structure for worshipping God. There is no place to keep the Ark of the Covenant. So his mind was on the God's work. So he called and said all these things, that he is very much eager to build a temple, a house for God. And immediately Prophet Nathan said in 1 Chronicles 17 chapter, we can find that he told David, whatever you have in mind, do it. So God is with you, David. He is with you, King. You do whatever seems good to you, and God will help you and bless you. So we can see a sudden twist in David's life. In chapter 17, verse 4, it says that God said, "Go and tell David." God said to Nathan the prophet, "Go and tell David, you are not the one to build me a house to dwell in." God further, he tells several things to David. There's a whole lot of conversation going on there through prophet Nathan. At the end of his saying, God said, "I will raise your offspring, your son, your own son. He is the one who will build a house for me." This is what God told David through prophet Nathan. He told, "No, David, you are not supposed to build a house for me, and you will never build a house for me. But Solomon, your son, your very own offspring, your descendant, he will build a house for my name." So now look at David's situation. David had a great goal of building a house for the God of Israel. He had only one ultimate goal in his life, and suddenly God tells that, no, I am not going to allow that. But in the middle of that great dream of building a home, God said no. He showed a red signal to David. He showed that you are not supposed to build a home for me. Not you, David. It is not you. So just keep all these things in your mind now and place yourself in the place of David. Fix yourself in the place of David and imagine how worse it will be. Having a great goal, but now all his goal came to an end. So just think of you having a great dream of having something that you wish, a great and expensive thing, and your parents has the money to get you that, and as soon as you open your mouth and ask them, "Mummy, Daddy, this is what I'm thinking of. I need this one. My ultimate goal is to get that one." And they also give a green signal at the beginning. They promise you that, "Okay, I will get you somehow or the other." And when the time is about to get closer, and you again remind that incident or that goal to your parents, and now they are coming up and telling, no, I'm not going to get that. That is not useful for you. So how will you will feel? So everything is at hand, and as soon as you go out and reach out to it, it is taken away from you. So the situation of David is the same. So now David cannot do anything because God said no. God said, "Not you, David." So all his dream of building a house for God of Israel shattered. Another example is that building something great, like a huge building. You're building something wonderful with good architectures and everything. So suddenly a strong wind hits that building. As soon as the building is about to get finished, as soon as this wind hits that, it all shatters down and it all collapsed and falls down. How worse it will be. Just a few days to finish off, and when the sun comes, all the things will be dried up and a good building will be formed. As soon as the sun comes, or the last final stage of the building a home is being about to be done, and suddenly a great wind comes and dashes and everything spoils, how worse it will be for us. So all the hard works will be in vain, all the efforts and labors and money, time, knowledge of building that, everything will get shattered. So no chance of building a house for God. Now the situation was worse and getting worse and getting worse. So even the chance of building a house for God by David was stopped. All his goal, his dream got shattered. His entire lifetime achievement comes to an end. So what happened next? What David did? So this will surprise us. Because this is something interesting to look at and something to be taken for our lives. Let us turn our Bibles to 1 Chronicles chapter 22 verse 2 to 5. I will just read it for you. 1 Chronicles chapter 22 verse 2 to 5. So David gave orders to assemble the foreigners residing in Israel, and from among them he appointed stone cutters to prepare dressed stone for building the house of God. He provided a large amount of iron to make nails for the doors of the gateways and for the fittings, and more bronze that could be weighed. He also provided more cedar logs than could be counted, for the Sidonians and Trains had brought large number of them to David. And David said, "My son Solomon is young and inexperienced, and the house of God to be built should be of great magnificence and fame and splendor in the sight of all nations. Therefore, I will make preparations for it." So David made extensive preparations before his death. So just before we read this wonderful passage, before we look at this incident, let us look at the previous week's incident. What we meditated last week, can you imagine? Arise and build. Of course, the 1 Chronicles chapter 22, 17 to 19 that we meditated last week. Today also we are going to meditate on the same book, the same chapter, but a different view and a different verse and a different perspective. So we saw arise and build. So how things were happening, and how David gave confidence and motivated his people to build a house for the Lord. And this too is the same chapter with the same concept but in a different perspective. So coming to verse 2 to 5 of chapter 22, the first verse it says, verse 2, so David gave orders to assemble the foreigners residing in Israel. The first line it says. So what David did after God's word? God said, "No, you're not going to build a house for me." After the word of God through prophet Nathan, what did David do? So David did three important things after God said no. This it's very interesting verse. After God said no to David, even though God said no, he did three things. What was done? The first thing is David assembled the people. So he gathered and assembled a group of people. So gathering and assembling a group of people is not an easy task, right? Once you go to your classroom, once you call out all your friends' name, and the teachers and the principal of your school or college, he or she tells you that you are the in charge. Now you need to do this task with the help of all these students. Now you go and gather and assemble them. Is it possible? One group of people will come, friends will come. Another group of students, they won't respect you. Another group of friends will be there who will be mocking at you. Another group of friends will be there who will be sincere. Another group of people will be there who won't even bother about anything that is happening there. So assembling a group of people is an hard task. So in the class assembly also, in the school assembly, it is very hard and difficult for that management, for that school or college to assemble every student at a particular time, right? One will come a little late, or one will not come at all, and one will have ID card upside down. So they will be ununiformed, right? They won't be proper on time. So the first thing David did after God said no is that he assembled the people. He gave orders and he gathered those people. So gathering of people and assembling of people involves much knowledge, and it also involves much patience. Once a teacher enters into a classroom, that teacher needs to have such patience to tolerate all the people and to make them gather at one place, with one mind, with one focus. If the teacher is very, very much hot-tempered person, suddenly gets angry, he cannot assemble people. So everyone will be going here and there. They won't listen. So, with knowledge and patience involved in this process, David assembled the people. So he chose the foreigners residing there to do the work to the house of the Lord. King David gave the work to them, the foreigners residing. So now all the foreigners were residing in Israel got a job opportunity. So how great it is. People who are residing there, they got a work to do now. So the second point, the second thing, when God said no, the second thing that David did was, David appointed the workers. So the second verse, second part, it says that, and from among them he appointed stone cutters to prepare dressed stone for building the house of God. So David set stone cutters. You know stone cutters? People who cut the stones and make designs out of it. And they do all kinds of skilled works on that stone, to fashion that stone for God's house, for building God's temple. So the verse says that David appointed the workers. What is the necessary to appoint them? God said, no, you are not the one who is supposed to build the house for my name, and you won't build a house for me. Then what is the necessary for David to appoint the workers? What's his job of doing that? And he gave them their salary, their wages, a good wage to them. So see how David placed the stone cutters to cut in a perfect shape, to do designs on the stone, not just simply taking up some stones and putting it, arranging something. He appointed them. He gave a task to them. He appointed them for cutting the stones. So it is interesting. And the third thing that David did after God said no, verse 3, it says, he provided a large amount of iron to make nails for the doors of the gateways and for the fittings, and more bronze that could be weighed. He provided a large amount of iron. For what reason? To make nails for the doors of the house of the Lord, to make the fittings. So then he also gave more bronze than it could be weighed. Excess amount of bronze and iron that David gave. So verse 4 we read, he also provided more cedar logs than could be counted, for the Sidonians and Tyrians had brought large numbers of them to David. So not just iron and bronze given to the work, to the service of the house of God, building the house of God, but David gave also he provided also large amount of cedars, logs. So that logs were uncountable, so much things. So see, he not just gave iron, bronze, lot of uncounted logs to start the house, the work of the house of God. So see how David's heart is. So verse 5, we see the interesting part. David said, my son Solomon is young and inexperienced, and the house to be built for the Lord should be of great magnificence and fame and splendor in sight of all nations. The first part, it says that David tells about his son Solomon. He's referring that my son Solomon is young age, is very little person, very young person. He does not have any previous experience of building such great thing for the Lord, or for anything, for any matter. He does not know to do the perfect things for the house of the Lord, because he is very young. He is inexperienced. He does not have any experience, a previous knowledge, a previous understanding of building something. So he continues that my son is in this stage very young and inexperienced, but the house which is to be built for the God of Israel, that temple, that house of God, it must be great, magnificent. So he tells three things. So in verse 5 we see the house to be built for the Lord, it must be of great magnificence. When people look at it, it must be looking wonderful. People must just open their mouths and tell, wow, such magnificent building is this. So, and next, it must be of great fame. That temple of the Lord, that house of the Lord must bring great fame and splendor, the majesty. So he tells that all these three things needed to be there while building the house of the Lord and in the house of the Lord, because in the sight of the nations, this building, this temple of the Lord must be great. Such building must not be seen anywhere else. Such wonderful thing must be built. So the most interesting lines here is the last word, the second part of verse 5. Therefore I will make preparations for it. So David made extensive preparations before his death. Before his death, David prepared everything for the temple, for the house of the Lord. See how great. Before his last moment, last stage of his life, last breath, before at that age, that stage itself, he prepared everything for the service of the temple of God, for the preparation of the temple of God. So why did David do all these three things? What is the necessary for David to do all these three things? David, what he did, he assembled the people, number one. Number two, David appointed the workers. Number three, David contributed materials for the house of God. So what made David to do all these things? Even in the midst of God telling David no, a red signal. What urged David? What happened inside of David that even though God said no, he did not keep quiet, but he did further things for the house of God. So what made David to do all these things? What was the reason? There was only one reason behind that. The reason is that passion. passion towards building God's temple. Passion towards God's temple. So even though he could not do it, even though David could not reach that, build a home for God, he gathered materials and he contributed to the house of God. So look at the passion of David. Look at how much passionate he would have been, and look at his passion. So when your parents and your elders, any people at your home, they tell something, don't do this, what you and I will do? That thing is not bad. We are about to do a good thing, very much helpful thing for our family, for our parents. And suddenly, when we are about to do that, your parents are telling, no, don't do that. So what will be our reaction? What will we do? We will think bad. I came for a good motive, for a good purpose I came. So what we will do is, we will leave that thing as it is and we will go. Look our own ways, look our own work and go. Because that no from our parents or from the teachers, they will bother us, right? As soon as you about to take a food in the table, your mother or father tells that don't keep your hands. What you will do? You will simply keep that food and you will go, okay, I need not put my hands into that. So you will feel bad, you will feel worried, you feel irritated sometimes. You will drop that idea, right? But even though David was not able to build a house for the Lord, he gathered, he placed the workers, he contributed to the house of God. So the passion that David had on building the house of God, that led him to do all these things. So look at his passion. How much passionate he would have. He would have simply left that matter as it is. Okay, God said no, then why I need to bother about all these things? Why I need to gather all these things? Because it took a lot of time, efforts, money, right? To build a house, magnificent house for the God. He could have just simply left that matter as it is. Someone is going to build, my descendant, my son. Let him gather something and do for the Lord. Why I need to put my effort? Why I need to put my time and money and everything into God's work? Why I need to gather? Or else David could have gathered other things for his own benefit, right? He is a king of Israel. He could have gathered many materials, wealth and gold and silver and logs, bronze and everything to develop his own kingdom. But he did not do that. He did not feel bad when God said, no, you're not the one who is supposed to do. He increased the passion towards God's work. So in today's time, even though we lack many things in our lives, even though we may not achieve several things for God, not everyone will be doing great things for God. Several things even you won't be doing in your lifetime for God. So there are people who are used by God differently. So each and every one that God uses are of unique way. In a unique way God uses. So I cannot do your work, you cannot do my work. So the ministry that people do to God, the other people cannot do that. So each and everyone has a different task and mission for God. So we may not do or fulfill or achieve that great goal in our lives, but never leave or never lose your passion towards God's work. So passion is important. So when the missionaries came to India, we see they had a goal in their lives. When they stepped out from their country to do mission, to, s- to reach out the Indians, the people, they put a lot of efforts, time and money. After coming here, they sacrificed a lot. They sacrificed their homes, their children, their relatives, their friends, everything. So with much sacrifice living, they came to this place, to India, to share the love of Christ, to share the grace and the mercy, the teaching of Jesus to us. They set a goal and came here, right? Every missionary who came here, they had a goal here to do this work, to do that work among the Indians. And we see they built great churches and missions and lot of things for Indians, for the welfare, for the well-being of the people who are in this country. They very well know that they won't be benefited out of all these things. Why those people came to this place and spent their entire life, built many orphanages, many children's home? Why they did? Even though they may not see the ending, the success of their beginning, even though they know all the things that I cannot live till I see the success of this, but they just began their work. They had a passion and just they died after doing several things. They not even experienced, or they have not even looked what the things are now. So even though they may not achieve several things in life, they just took initiative and many just started and died. But look at the passion of them, their work and dedication towards God's work. See how much passionate they are. Their passion towards that work is what we see today. We see great schools and universities all over the world, and in India, a lot of college, a lot of mission works that are still going on. Those are the passion of that missionaries and great people who came to this place. So passion is what something which pushed them forward to do several things in their lives. So today I request each and everyone, even though we may not see the end of something, or we may not contribute several things for God, never leave the passion of doing, gathering, and never leave the passion of preparing things for God. Till the last breath, in what ways God gives us chances, utilize it. So just David, like, he assembled the people, he contributed materials, and he appointed the workers. See, David did not live up to that final stage of the building of the house of God. So even though he did not see, he had a great passion, and that is why he contributed, he prepared, he appointed everything that he did. So passion for God's work is what made David a successful king.